Today we are going to tackle the beast of word problems in flipped lesson 11 for the 5th grade. Word problems can sometimes seem intimidating, but the cool part is in math that word problems have certain patterns that they follow, and we're going to focus on the pattern to follow when it comes to word problems about combining today. By looking at example 1, we see the fact that a word problem about combining may sound something like this. The class hiked 5 miles in the morning and 3 miles in the afternoon. Altogether, how many miles did the class hike? This type of math problem has a clear-cut formula that we can reveal and see that the problem is talking about sum, which we see right here with the fact that the class hiked 5 miles in the morning, and then the idea of addition, where we're going to add some more, and 3 miles in the afternoon. We see that idea right here. And then, of course, the question is asking altogether how much did everything get. So we have this idea of altogether, looking for a total for what we're doing here. Now, as we look at this formula, sum plus some more equals total. To make it a little bit easier to remember, we can do some quick abbreviations and see that sum stands for S plus M, which stands for some more, equals T, which is our total. And so we can look at this idea. Now, how to do a word problem is we're going to follow a number of different steps. We'll look at those steps real quick. Step 1, it says write the equation. So we're going to use that formula we just looked at to help us write the equation. Second step, we're going to find the number that's missing within that equation. And third, we're going to check whether our answer is reasonable and if we did our arithmetic correctly, making sure we did our math right. So go with example 1, and we start looking at what we have. It says the class hiked 5 miles. And we can see that this 5 is referring to the sum and in the morning, and then hike some more in the afternoon. We learn that we hiked another 3. And so we can, we can make this an addition problem. And of course, then we're looking for a T. Step 1, write the equation. Step 2, of course, then is to find the missing number. In this case, we're solving for T. Since the T is by itself right here on this side, we can go ahead and solve right away. So we can take the 5 plus the 3, which equals 8. And so we can say that 8 equals T, just like we have there on the board. Now we can go back and check our work. And since the total is 8, just like what we see right there, we know that this is a logical idea because it's greater than the 5 and it's greater than the 3, and since we added those two numbers together, it makes sense. And of course, if we substitute this T out and we plug this idea in right here, right? Looking for the idea is, does 5 plus 3 equal 8? Which also stands for our T. That, of course, is true, and so we know that our answer is correct. Of course, as we finish off our problem, we want to make sure that we have our label correctly. In this case, we're looking at miles, and so we're going to, for a final answer, we're going to say T equals 8 miles. And so we have our first example here for us. Another example. Once again, we're going to follow this combining formula. It says after Joseph paid Craig $130 for rent, Craig had $745. How much money did Craig have before Joseph paid the rent? As we look at this problem, we can clearly see the idea of combining is going to fit into this. The question, though, is where does everything fit in? Where is the sum? Where is the some more? Where is the total? And in this case, we're actually going to start here looking at our $745 and realize that that $745 is referring to our total. And so we're looking for something that equals $745. Next, we can take a look at our 130 and see that this was paid to Craig. And so he received this money to add to what he already had. And so we can learn and see and know that our 130 fits right here. And so our equation, step one in solving a word problem, step one is to find that equation. Our equation is S plus $130 equals $745. Now we can take the time to solve this problem, to find the missing add-in. Now, of course, we need to rearrange this problem so that we can easily solve this. Okay. And from our knowledge of fact families, we know that we can start to move numbers around. All right. And as we start to move numbers around, we can understand that 745 minus 130 is going to equal S. And so that's going to give us our S answer. So we're going to go ahead and solve. 5 minus 0 is 5. 4 minus 3 is 1. And 7 minus 1 is 6. And of course, making sure we take our label with us, $615. Now we want to make sure we double check our work. We know that this number is not bigger than what we started with here, so we can definitely say that it's a logical explanation. But now we can plug all these numbers back into what we just did, and so we can move this here, and since our S equals 615, we'll throw a 615 right there, throw a plus sign in there. 615 plus 130 equals 745. And if you're not quite sure about that, I'm going to line up my digits. So 5 plus 0 equals 5, 1 plus 3 equals 4, and 6 plus 1 equals 7. So we definitely proved that 615 is our answer. We can take a look at one more problem to help us through this. It says Susan counted 23 children on the playground before the bell rang. After the bell rang, more children ran onto the playground. Then Susan counted 75 children. How many children ran onto the playground after the bell rang? So once again, we're going to analyze our information. Right? We have the fact that Susan counted 23 children on the playground. And here's a key word right here, before the bell rang. So this lets us know that this is our beginning amount right here. All right, so we can start with that 23. Next, it says after the bell rang, more children ran onto the playground. But of course, we're not given a number for that more. And so we can put the plus M there, which means that our 75 is going to be our total as she recounts the children and finds out that there's 75. All right. Our question also clearly states how many children ran onto the playground after the bell rang, which is this idea of more right here. And so we can solve this problem. So here is our equation. This is step one. We're looking at 23 plus M is going to give us 75. And we'll come back and check the labels in just a little bit after we've solved. So looking at this problem then, we can once again work with our fact families and know that we can start to rearrange our numbers. And I'm going to go ahead and put it right away into vertical columns so it's easy to work with. And all of this together is going to help us solve for this M right here. So 5 minus 3 is going to give us 2, and 7 minus 2 is going to give us 5 for 52. And of course, we can say that M equals 52. Then we want to go back in and check our work. And so, oops, that's not what I wanted to move. We got 75, we got 23, and we want to plug in our M here, and we want to see if that 52 works. So it's right there in our problem. And if we can shove this over here real quick and do a fancy little erasing so we're not so confused, we can see that we're going to add these two ideas together. 2 plus 3 equals 5. 5 plus 2 equals 7. And of course, with any answer, we want to make sure that we add our label back in. The problem states children, and so our label will be children. That is our lesson on word problems about combining. We have our formula S plus M equals T, which is what we want to remember and work with for the rest of this unit. I'll leave you with one more sample problem. You can work on this one on your own, and we'll start the class tomorrow looking at this. I hope you enjoyed your flipped lesson. Have a good evening.